I wonder by my troth what thou and I did till we loved. Were we not weaned till then, but sucked on country pleasures childishly, or snorted we in the seven sleepers' den? 'Twas so, but this all pleasures fancies be. If ever any beauty I did see, which I desired and got, 'twas but a dream of thee. And now good morrow to our waking souls, which watch not one another out of fear. For love, all love of other sides controls, and makes one little room in every way. Let sea discoverers to the new worlds have gone, let maps to others worlds on worlds have shown. Let us possess one world, each hath one, and is one. My face in thine eye, thine in mine appears, and true plain hearts do in the faces rest. Where can we find two better hemispheres, without sharp north, without declining west? Whatever dies was not mixed equally. If our two loves be one, or thou and I love so alike, that none do slacken, none can die.
This is one of the finest poems of Donne, explaining the complex nature of love. Initially, love has an element of fun and sex. It is like the dark night, and experience which is not quite clear, but with the dawn, the true nature of things is revealed. The title suggests the dawn of true love, its essential quality and mutual understanding and confidence between the souls of the lover and the beloved. This kind of pure love provides a complete world to the lovers, a world without coldness, fear and decay. It is much better than the physical world. This perfect love is neither subject to time nor death. In the beginning, the poet examines the nature of the first experiences of love. The first set of experiences is childish, the physical joys of love. The second set of experiences is much richer. It is the experience of spiritual love in which the voices of one soul are echoed by the other soul. The mature experiences of love make one disregard the first foolish acts of love, when, so to say, the souls were asleep in the den of seven sleepers. The poet can only dream of true love in the first stage, the atmosphere of sleep. Stupor and dream shows the fleeting and unstable nature of this kind of immature love. The past life spent in childish love was a sort of dream and blank, the night of oblivion and unreality is about to end. The dawn of true love is imminent, and it awakens the soul of lovers to the meaning of true love. This true love makes them open out their hearts to each other without any fear or inhibition. Their love for each other is all-absorbing and all-satisfying. They have no delight in other scenes or places. Each is like a world to the other. This world of love is everywhere. The poet is unhappy with the world of love. Let sailors discover new worlds and make charts and maps of the lands they have discovered. On the other hand, the lovers are content in their own worlds. Each of them has a world, but the two worlds of the two lovers put together make one world of love. As the lovers look at each other, each of them sees his own image in the other's eyes. Their looks reflect the simplicity, purity and honesty of their hearts. Their two faces may be compared to two hemispheres which together make up a world. The two hemispheres of the faces of lovers are better than the geographical hemispheres because they do not have the sharp north and the declining west. The sharp note implies coldness and indifference, to which their love is not subject, and the declining waist symbolizes decay and death, from which the lovers are free. According to certain philosophers, when different elements which go into the making of a thing are not harmoniously mixed, the thing is liable to decay and death. This is not true of their love, because their love is harmonious and is sweet-blooded.
The poem is driven by a central image that the two lovers make up a complete world. Nothing really exists outside of their world. It is self-sufficient, self-absorbing. The first stanza of the poem is where the speaker, who is one of the lovers talking to his partner, looks back to when they were not in love. That time seems unreal. They were children, nice, sleep, even. Whatever pleasures they experienced were mere unrealities compared to what they have now. Any beauty was again a mere dream to be set against the present intense and concrete reality. The second stanza of the poem suggests that the lovers have awakened now into true reality out of the shadows of night. In fact, they make their own reality. The room where they are in bed is their world, and nothing exists outside its world. Yes, the poet says, there may be worlds out there. Let discoverers go and find them, or map makers draw them, but let us use our time possessing our own private world. One complete world suggests that each is a hemisphere perfectly complementing the other. The poet concludes by suggesting that if they can stay totally constant as lovers, then they cannot die. According to current thinking, only what is contrary or different measure can disintegrate. A perfect harmony or completeness would be theirs.